Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Some early Monday morning news for the Ohio State fans as they've seemed to have found their next running backs coach heading into the 2024 season. And Coach Carlos Locklyn coming over from the Oregon Ducks. And this is a coach that has a ton of respect in the coaching community, a guy that less than 7 years ago was a weight room assistant at Memphis, now coming over and taking a job at Ohio State as their next running backs coach, and a guy that a lot of the Oregon Duck fans have a ton of respect for as well. You listen to that Oregon program, a lot of respect for what Carlos Locklyn has done the last 2 years in Eugene. This is a really good hire for Ryan Day and Ohio State. And you kind of look at the two things that we normally look for position coach hires. You want to see two things. One, you want to see a coach that has a proven track record of developing talent, but you also need a position coach that can get it done on the recruiting trail. And that is a massive prerequisite to be a position coach at Ohio State. Ryan Day is not hiring coaches that can't get it done on the recruiting trail. Coach Locklyn has done both a phenomenal job developing talent in that running back room in Eugene, but also grabbing top talent as well. You look at this hire for Ohio State. I'm a massive fan of Coach Carlos Locklyn. In turn, massive fan of this hire. Want to get into Coach Carlos Locklyn, talk a little bit about what he brings to this Ohio State program. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. And it has been a wild last couple of days for this Ohio State program. We've been breaking down commitments. Now we're breaking down a coaching hire. Cannot thank you guys enough for all the support y'all have shown the boys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And more importantly, would love to hear some Ohio State fans' takes on this one in the comments section. And without further ado, let's get into this one. And I want to start with how much of a riser Coach Carlos Locklyn has been in the coaching industry. And I mean, that's something that I always look for. You kind of look at how other coaches have valued Coach Locklyn as a coach. This is a guy that less than 7 years ago was a weight room assistant for the Memphis Tigers in Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell brings him to Florida State as a recruiting analyst, a director of high school relations, and then goes to Western Kentucky for his first running backs coach job, spends 1 year there. Dan Lanning brings him over to Eugene, and you look at this Oregon offense the last couple of years, going back to last year, one of the best rushing attacks that we saw in all of college football. You can tell that not only Dan Lanning, but Mike Norvell, a lot of coaches that we trust in terms of evaluating a coaching staff, have a lot of respect for Coach Carlos Locklyn. And so you look at Ryan Day going to the Oregon Ducks, in my mind, probably the fastest rising team in college football, in grabbing their running backs coach. I mean, this hire, I think, is phenomenal for Ryan Day. And he also is a guy that can get it done on the recruiting trail. And again, Ryan Day, it's no secret that Ryan Day and Ohio State have been elite on the recruiting trail the last couple of years. Ryan Day makes sure his coaches can get it done on the recruiting trail, right? You do not come to Ohio State if you've not proven that you can get it done, bringing top-tier talent to Columbus. You look at Coach Locklyn and what he's done on the recruiting trail in really just 2 years at Oregon. Guys like Dante Dowdle, Jaquan McCoy, one of my favorite offensive tackles from that 2024 class, guys like Jordan James. Coach Locklyn has shown a high propensity of not only grabbing top talent from the high school level, but also getting those guys developed. You look at some of the running backs that Oregon had over the last couple of years. Bucky Irving, a guy that was one of the top running backs in the country in 2023, going to be a top 200 pick in the NFL draft. Jordan James, going to be one of the better running backs in the country in the 2024 year. You sprinkle other guys like Noah Whittington into the fold. Not only has Coach Locklyn shown the ability to get top talent to this Oregon program, he's shown the ability to develop that talent as well. It kind of goes back to me. I always like to look at how other coaches evaluated and saw these kind of guys, right? Mike Norvell obviously had a ton of respect for Coach Carlos Locklyn, right? He started his tenure with Mike Norvell at Memphis as a weight room assistant. He works his way up. Mike Norvell takes him to Florida State. All of those signs point to, hey, I got a lot of respect for Coach Carlos Locklyn. I want to make sure he's on my staff. He goes to Western Kentucky for only just 1 year, and then Dan Lanning brings him to Eugene. And Dan Lanning, I'll say this, there's probably not a coach in the country I trust more about building a staff then Dan Lanning, brings him over from Western Kentucky. They have one of the best rushing attacks in all of college football the last 2 years. Ryan Day bringing him over to the Oregon Ducks. He's got endorsements from Dan Lanning, endorsements from Mike Norvell. If you're an Ohio State fan, that's probably all the proof that you need in terms of Coach Carlos Locklyn and being an exciting hire for this Ohio State program. And you look at how this might impact the recruiting trail. I'll point you to the guy that I think most Ohio State fans want to see in this Ohio State offense, and that is Jordan Davison coming from Mater Dei. This is a guy that one of his first offers as a high school recruit was from the Oregon Ducks before Coach Locklyn has even gotten there. And so there's a lot of communication between Coach Locklyn. I think Tony Alford leaving for Michigan certainly hurt Jordan Davison's recruitment to Ohio State because they had a very strong relationship. I think Coach Locklyn certainly helps or Ohio State's chances at getting Jordan Davison in the fold. And you look at what Ryan Day had to do. This was a quick turnaround. I don't think a lot of Ohio State fans saw Tony Alford jumping ship to this Michigan program. And so Ryan Day had to move quickly, right? When you're trying to get it done on the recruiting trail, you need a position coach. He made this happen quickly. I think he got one of the better running backs coach in the country. I think Oregon fans will say that. I think college football fans across the country would say that. So you look at Ryan Day bringing Coach Locklyn in, really big fan of it. I think it's going to pay dividends not only on the recruiting trail, but I also think you're going to see player development go in the right direction for Ohio State, which I know was probably the big question mark they had for Tony Alford, right? This was a guy that, could get it done on the recruiting trail. Was the player development necessarily to the standard that you wanted to see in that running backs room? It certainly was not bad, but I think Ohio State fans wanted a little bit more. I think Coach Carlos Locklyn, probably one of the better developers of talent at that running backs coach position. Hard to knock this hire. Good recruiter, really good player developer. I think Ohio State landed a very good one, but I'm most impressed with how quick of a turnaround this was, and even more impressed with this Oregon program. This is not the old Oregon program. I think Ohio State fans know that. Certainly Oregon fans know that. It is not easy to go into Eugene and grab guys from their coaching staff, because that's a program that you got everything you need to win a national championship, go in the right direction. The fact that Ryan Day able to make this one happen, really big news for Ohio State fans. Good recruiter, good player developer, really good hire in my mind. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. Wanted to hop on, talk a little bit about what this will mean on the recruiting trail in the player development department. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. Again, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all